Hello friends, welcome to our channel ML for Analytics and welcome to this playlist Tax ODC. So friends, in this video we are going to cover the topic nested row context. So this is the part 1 of this video. If you remember, in the previous two videos we have already covered the row context and now we are deep diving into the row context concept. And in the part 1 we will be discussing about the nested row context when applied to the different tables. Okay, so let's get started. So friends, I have opened my Power BI desktop now, and as you can see on my screen that I have two visuals. One is the card visual and another is the slicer. So before we begin with the nested row context with different tables, there is one important thing which I wanted to discuss with you, that we have already discussed how the row context works and how it iterates over the table. Few important points to consider on that is that what steps the iterator function takes in order to create the row context. So by a very small example I'll discuss with you. So let us see the sales amount measure only. As you have already seen this measure many times, so it's the same code, SUMX, fact internet sales, order quantity into unit price. So I placed this particular visual or the calculation on this visual. You can see the sales amount. Now let's revisit the formula. What I'm trying to say is that how the iterator function, I'm talking about all the iterator functions here, right? SUMX, MAXX, whichever functions have the X word at the end. So those are iterator functions. So how they work basically. So if you remember, I told you that the first parameter, it is evaluated before the row context is created by the iterator function. So the first argument is always calculated before the SUMX function or the any iterator function creates the row context. So this will be calculated, or you can say processed, in the original evaluation context which is present outside this iterator function. So by original context mean whatever filter context or the row context exists outside this function, outside this formula. For example, it can be a slicer, or in terms of filter context it can be a slicer or page level filter, report level filter, visual level filter. So there can be many ways, or even if in the measure itself you are placing any kind of filter context. So in this way, or there can be more than one row context, which we will be discussing in this video itself. So what I'm trying to say is that this first argument will be calculated on the original evaluation context. Now once the first argument has been evaluated, now the iterator function will create the row context for the on this table to calculate the second argument. Okay, so now what happens is, remember that if we have already discussed that the row context never filters, it only iterates. Okay, so while calculating this second argument also, the original filter context or the filter context which is appearing outside this formula will still exist and will apply on this. So the calculation will be done based on that only, and so no filter context or the no evaluation context will be modified previously. Only a new row context is being added to the existing evaluation context. So suppose there was a we can take a scenario in which there was already a filter context existing, in which there were two filters and one row context which was already existing behind besides or outside this particular iteration formula. So those will exist, plus a new row context will be added. So that's the whole thing which I wanted to discuss with you. So do remember this, that iterators add a new row context. They do not modify the existing filter context. Okay, so this rule is always working, and this is a very important thing to remember. So as you can see, suppose if I just select the clothing, okay, on the slicer, now you can see that the amount has changed. Why it has changed? Because now this first argument, this table will be filtered based on this clothing, and then the row context will be created on this particular table, which would contain the sales only for the product category clothing, and then this calculation, the second argument, will be evaluated and the sales amount would be returned. So this is the point. Now let's switch to the nested row context. So by nested row context mean that more than one row context, including different tables. Okay, so let's take one scenario. So here is the scenario. So this is the first one, in which what we are doing is, as you can see, I have taken a multiple SUMX functions. So this is the first function in which I am taking the dim product category. Now if you remember, this is an iterator function. The first argument is the table itself or an expression, table expression, and then the second argument will be evaluated. So for the outer SUMX function, this is the first argument, and this whole SUMX is the second argument. So what it will do is it will start iterating on the dim product category and will evaluate this particular expression. Then it will jump to this one while creating the first row context. Then it will again see that, okay, again it is an iterator function, so it will move on and it will evaluate the first argument. Now what I am doing here is I am using the related table dim product. So we have already discussed about the related and related table in our previous videos. So if you have not seen that particular video, you can visit that video to know about the related and related table. So what this related table would do, it would, for example, it has started iterating over the first row. So the first product category, which is suppose clothing, so it will pick all the rows, all the products belonging to that particular category clothing from the dim product table. So suppose there were 10 particular products which are belonging to the clothing category. So those 10 rows will be picked from the dim product table, and then this particular row context will start. So one is already existing. Now second row context will start on these 10 rows. Then it will again check, okay, this second argument will start evaluating. So again a third row context comes here. So before creating the third row context, it will create this particular table. It will again, I am using the related table fact internet sales. So what it will do is it will now start iterating on dim product table. Now for the very first dim product category, dim product, it will pick all the sales belonging to that particular product, and then once it is picked, it will evaluate this particular expression and return. Then for the second, so basically you can say that if I just try to give you an analogy about how it is working, so you can relate it to like 3 for loops. You might, if you have done coding in any programming language like Python or C, so you might have seen the for loops, right? So nested for loops, like so you can relate it to like 1, 2 and 3. So we are doing 3 iterations here, iterating on the outer table. Then based on each row on this table, this expression will be evaluated. Then based on each row of this particular table, this expression. So like this it will go on, and it will keep calculating and will return us the number. So in this way it will work. This is one example of the nested row context. Now just one point to highlight is I have created this example for the demonstration purpose. This is not the optimal code, I would say. I just wanted to show how you can create the multiple row contexts on different tables. So suppose you have a relationship between 2 tables. So in this case we have one-to-many relationship between product category to dim product, and then from dim product to fact internet sales. So like this, from the one side to the many side, we are moving using the related table, and we are iterating over that. Now how to optimize this code, I have also written that code. Let me just show you. So this was the one way. This is a little less optimized code, and let us move to the same calculation, which can be written a little bit differently. And so let's see that. Okay, now here you can see I have written this same calculation, but now in a different way. Now in this case I am doing the opposite. I am iterating over the fact internet sales now. Okay, so this code will be much shorter now as compared to the previous one. What I am doing is I am iterating over the fact internet sales, and I am evaluating the second expression. So in this case I would only require one row context. So the previous example I created just to demonstrate you how you can create multiple row contexts. So this I am just showing you how you can write the same code in an optimized way. Okay. So fact internet sales order quantity into related. Now instead of related table, we will use related because we are moving from the many side to the one side. So for each sale, we are picking the dim product and list price from the dim product table, and we are multiplying it with the unit price discount, and we are just returning the whole calculation. So this is the same calculation written in a more optimized way. Okay. So like this, we have covered now the multiple row context or the nested row context on the different tables. So you need to be very careful while using nested row context. We'll discuss it later why you need to be careful, because the outer tables could be very large, and we don't want to produce the suboptimized code which would result which would take very long processing time to do the calculation for this particular measure. So we need to keep one thing in mind, that the tables, whichever tables we are using, those are filtered to few rows only. If we have passed a table which is very big, like fact internet sales, so that would take a lot of time, especially when we are using multiple row contexts. Okay, so you need to keep this thing in mind. So with this, we come to the end of this video. So in this video, we have covered the nested row context on different tables. This is the part 1. In part 2, we will discuss about the nested row contexts on the same table. In that case, the complexity increases a little bit. So we'll discuss that in part 2, nested row context on the same table. So if you have any questions, please post your questions on the comment section, and I will answer your questions. Also, please do share your feedback about this video, and see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye.